There are a lot of things to enjoy about the American Flyer S-Gauge hobby. One of those is that you can mix and match equipment. And in the case before us here is a car that probably was released in 1950 or 1951. It's aluminum, it's heavy, it's the end vestibule car, and as you can see, they added this end section to the car. And this car happened to come from me from a gentleman in California that I've done several different projects for, and he needed the coupler replaced. So I'll be sharing some notes about that in the near future here. So one of the things that I did is I replaced the silhouettes. The existing silhouettes that were in the sides of this car and in the rear had folded and had become pretty disgusting with age, and they were pretty much useless. You couldn't flatten them out; they wouldn't stay. So I put all new silhouettes in for them, and then here at the back, it was just a solid clear piece of plastic basically. So I put one with people in it. Another thing that was missing was the paper diffuser inside here, so I added that for them. And then something that I hadn't thought about doing before, but kind of like how it looks, is I added an LED with a built-in resistor up here, and so you get a nice bright tail light from the back of the car, which is really cool. I've noticed that on some of the American models cars I have, and I really like the effect. So anyhow, I'm going to go ahead and run this car here a little bit for us, and hopefully you'll enjoy it as much as I do, and then I'm going to package it up because it's going back home. Well, howdy y'all. Today I want to have you join me on taking care of a somewhat simple but somewhat complicated repair. These are the early American Flyer passenger cars, S-scale, and they're all aluminum. And if you have a coupler that comes off, needs to be replaced, they can be a bit of a challenge because the way these were put together, the trucks kind of interfere with the side frames or the sides of the car because you've got these skirts, and so it makes it really hard to do repairs without potentially damaging things. So I'm going to share with you kind of what I do. This car is Craig's car, and he sent it to me to do some work on it. In addition to the coupler repair, the transparency silhouettes have come loose inside. So once I get it apart, I'm going to take a look at those. They may or may not be worth repairing or reinserting. Typically they slide into grooves above and below the windows, but over time they tend to curl and get hard and they fall out and then they're done. So anyhow, let's go ahead and take this thing apart and see what we can see. First of all, we got a screw at the bottom. There should be a screw at the top. And what this does is it removes the ends. I suppose technically removing this end, it wouldn't have to be done for our process here, but I'm going to go ahead and do it. Yeah, see how curled up and messed up these are. Now I've got some replacements that I believe I have somewhere. I'll have to find those and see about putting replacements in for them, because it's not that these can't be put in, but I mean they're going to keep wanting to curl, and when they curl they pull themselves out of the grooves, which somebody tried to tape them back in, and we can see how well that helped. But it is what it is, right? Okay, get this end done. This end comes off. Now what would be super cool is if you could just slide these bottoms out, but see what happens. See how the side frames come into contact with the car sides. So now what do you do? Well, here's what I've come to do is I will actually kind of push against these side frames, sides of the car, and try to pop the bottoms out like that. You have to obviously, I mean, it takes some effort, but you also want to be careful. So I'm trying not to pull just on the ends. I'm trying to go inside, further into the cars before I, pull things out, just to try and keep from causing any damage if I can. Come on, come out of there. Okay, so there's the inside of our chassis, our passenger car, and this groove here is the top, and there's the bottom. They have these little bit of a groove in them. This is where these silhouettes slide down inside. But again, as we discussed, those are not going anywhere. So now that I've got this all apart, I'm going to actually take a look at the wiring for Craig here. It's not terrible, but it is original. So I think I'm just going to do him a service and go ahead and replace this wiring. Check this bulb out too. But the first is going to be to replace this coupler. One of the things that's really cool about these old aluminum cars is the link couplers that came with them originally actually had a spring to help hold the link coupler down. And my understanding is, because these cars are heavy, once you get 3 or 4 of them together, they tend to have enough resistance that they could pull the link couplers up and over the pins, and so those springs help to keep that from happening, keep the train sets together. So anyhow, kind of cool. And I'll go ahead and insert what's happening? Insert a new link coupler in here. So get out a couple of my favorite tools here, doing that. Then I'll come up here to my link coupler source. Now this car is going to be from 50 or 51, so we want a black weight, and there's a pin. Okay, so for starters, I made a couple little, so I made this block. It's steel with a couple holes strategically placed for installing or removing rivets. I made this punch. One end is rounded and smaller, the other end is larger and flat. And so when I'm reattaching pins and stuff, I use the flat side first to kind of get the assembly flat again. Then I want to use this side to spread out the back side of the pin. Like that. Then I test it, I wiggle it back and forth just to make sure nothing's loose, and there we go. That's how simple it is to put a link coupler on. Isn't that nice? Alright, so that was the easy part. The tough part comes now with, like I said, see if I can find some transparency silhouettes, and I think, like I said, I'm gonna redo this wiring for him, and get it all nice and fresh, cleaned up, and then put everything back together. Okay, so I've got a new silhouettes installed. The sides. I also put one with people in the end of the car, which I guess technically is, these are just nothing. So to me that makes a little more sense, maybe. And I'm going to do this for the owner too. I'm going to put an LED. Again, I'm going to use a little bit of super glue and just kind of tuck it in up here. And what that's going to do is that'll give a neat glow here at the back. I thought about doing one at the drum, but I don't know, that might be too much. Putting these back in is actually a lot easier than taking them out. So you just want to, so there's rails here or guides here on the inside of the shell. That is where the chassis goes. And so putting them back in, at least in my opinion, is much easier than getting them out, because I get one side in there. A little hard to do for the camera, my apologies. There we go. So I've got one side in there, and then it's just a matter of spreading it out a little bit to get the other side started. And let's see, I guess we're not quite in there yet. There we go. There we go. So, yeah, that's a lot less of a nuisance than taking it apart, as I mentioned. Okay, I got a glue gun that's hot. And now I'll just go ahead and get this, just add a little bit of glue so that it sticks to the ceiling here. Nothing major.